Let me ask you something, and let the first answer come without editing it. What is one thing you believe about yourself that you have never actually questioned? Not a passing mood, one of the fixed ones. I'm not good with money. I'm too much for people. I'm the one who holds everything together. I don't get to want things. Whatever came up just now, sit with it a second, because here's the question underneath it, and it's the one that matters tonight. Did you choose that belief, or did you inherit it? Last night the sky said something important. That meaning is authored, that the story you tell about your life quietly becomes your life. Tonight, July 20th, 2026, we go one layer deeper. Because some of the stories running your life were never written by you at all. They were handed to you by a family, by a childhood, by an old version of yourself who needed them to survive something, and you have been repeating them so faithfully for so long that they stopped feeling like stories and started feeling like facts. The Crescent is about a third lit now, growing in Cancer, and tomorrow she reaches the first quarter, the moment in the cycle that asks for commitment. So tonight is the night to check, gently, whose story you're about to commit to. This is your moon letter for the story you inherited. Let's open it. Look up tonight, and you'll find her about a third lit, a strong, clear crescent, noticeably fuller than a few nights ago, climbing steadily through Cancer. And tomorrow she reaches the first quarter, the halfway point of the climb, the moment the cycle traditionally asks for a decision. What are you actually committing to? But notice something about how she gets there. The moon does not carry last month's light into this cycle. She does not drag forward the shape she had 4 weeks ago, or the shape she had when she was new. Every single cycle, she builds her light fresh, from dark to full, without hauling the old version along. She is the same moon, and yet nothing about tonight's light is inherited from last month. That is the quiet permission in the sky tonight. You are allowed to arrive at this next stage of your life without automatically dragging forward every belief you were handed. You are the same person. The story does not have to be the same story. The energy tonight sits in a very particular place. One night before the first quarter, which is the cycle's commitment point, the moment the growing light asks you to actually choose, to act, to put your weight behind something. And that is exactly why tonight matters. Because whatever story you're carrying when you arrive at that moment is the story you'll commit from. And Cancer, the sign holding this crescent, is not a coincidence. Cancer is home, family, roots, the emotional inheritance, the place almost all of our oldest stories were written. This is the sign of what we absorbed before we had any say in it. The family sayings, the unspoken rules, the way the people around us talked about money, or rest, or wanting things, or being too much. So tonight the energy is not asking you to push forward. It's asking you to look down at what you're standing on. Before you commit tomorrow, check whose beliefs you're about to commit with, because it is a strange kind of heartbreak to build a whole life on a rule that was never even yours. In human design, the sun is in gate 56, the storyteller, and tonight it's the second line, which is traditionally about being bound. The story that holds you, the chain you don't notice because you've worn it since childhood. Here's what that means in practice. The storyteller in us doesn't only tell new stories. It also loops old ones, the same handful of sentences about who we are, repeated so consistently that they stop sounding like sentences and start sounding like reality. And the ones that bind us hardest are almost never the ones we consciously adopted. They're the ones that arrived so early we never got to vote on them. A parent's fear about money becomes your ceiling. A family's silence about needing help becomes your inability to ask. An offhand comment from a teacher becomes a 30-year belief about your intelligence. Gate 56, second line, asks a disarmingly simple question tonight. Which of the stories you're telling about yourself did you actually choose? Because a chain you can see is already looser than a chain you can't. So, let's get practical about it. How do you actually tell an inherited story from one that's genuinely yours? The clearest test I know is the voice test. Take the belief that came up at the start and say it out loud, slowly. I'm not good with money. I'm too much. I have to earn rest. And then ask, in whose voice do I hear this? Because very often, if you're honest, it isn't your voice. There's a tone in it. A parent's tone. A grandparent's shrug. The way your family said money doesn't grow on trees, or we don't complain, or people like us don't do things like that. Sometimes it's not even a person. It's an era, a household mood, a rule nobody ever said out loud, but everybody obeyed. Listen to a few of your fixed beliefs this way, and you'll notice something unsettling and freeing at the same time. A surprising number of them arrived pre-installed. You never sat down and concluded them from evidence. You absorbed them in a house before you were old enough to question anything. And notice the second kind, too, the stories you wrote yourself, but a long time ago, in a moment of pain. The version of you who got hurt at 23 and concluded, I don't get to trust people. That was authored by you, yes, but by a you who was bleeding and needed a rule to stay safe. That rule was protective then. The question is whether it's still true now, or whether you've just never taken it off. Neither of these makes you foolish. It makes you human. We are all walking around wearing a few beliefs we never actually chose. So why do these inherited stories feel so much like plain truth, rather than like the opinions they actually are? 3 quiet reasons, and they compound. The first is timing. A story learned early enough doesn't get filed as a belief. It gets filed as reality. You didn't decide that money is frightening at age 6. You simply absorbed the atmosphere of a house where it was, and it became part of the furniture of the world. We question opinions. We don't question furniture. The second reason is the loop we talked about last night. You act from the story, and the results appear to confirm it. If you believe you're not good with money, you avoid looking at it, you don't learn the skills, you flinch away from the statements, and then the mess that follows looks exactly like proof. If you believe you're too much, you shrink, you pre-apologize, you hold back the interesting parts, and the shallow connections that result feel like evidence. The story quietly arranges your behavior, and the behavior delivers the confirming outcome. And the third reason is the sneakiest. Inherited beliefs disguise themselves as personality. That's just how I am. I've always been like this. It's my nature. But a lot of what we call personality is simply an old story we've rehearsed for so long that we've forgotten it was ever a line and not a fact. Here's the good news hidden in all 3. If a story became true through early absorption, repetition, and confirming behavior, then it was never bedrock, it was built. And anything built can, slowly and gently, be looked at, questioned, and rebuilt. So how do you loosen one of these chains tonight, without pretending or forcing? 4 gentle questions, and Cancer, holding this crescent, insists you do it kindly, not as an interrogation. First, name it plainly. 1 sentence, no drama, no explaining. I believe I'm too much for people. I believe rest has to be earned. Just say the sentence, so it exists outside your head where you can actually look at it. Second, ask whose voice it's in, and when you first heard it. Don't force an answer. Often one just arrives, a room, a tone, a moment. That recognition alone does something, because the instant you can see where a belief came from, it stops being the water you swim in and becomes an object you're holding. Third, and this is the real one, ask, is this still true for me today? Not was it ever useful, not did someone mean well. Is it true now for the person you actually are? Very often you'll find it was true for someone once, in a situation that is no longer yours. Fourth, choose. And choosing doesn't mean dramatically throwing everything out. Some of what you inherited is good and worth keeping on purpose rather than by accident. Keep what serves you, consciously this time. And whatever's left, the rule that isn't yours and isn't true anymore, set it down gently. You don't have to destroy it. You don't have to be angry at whoever handed it to you. They were usually just passing on what they were given to. You only have to stop carrying it forward. That's it. That's how the chain loosens, not with a battle, but with a plain look and a quiet decision. Here is your ritual for the story you inherited, and it's a quiet one. A conversation with yourself before tomorrow's first quarter asks for your commitment. When the evening settles, step outside and find the Crescent, about a third lit now, and let her remind you that she never carries last month's light into this cycle. Then bring up one belief you hold about yourself, one of the fixed ones, and say it out loud in a single plain sentence. Next, ask the question gently out loud. Whose voice is this, really? Just listen. Don't argue with whatever comes. Then ask the second question. Is this still true for me now? Give that one real space. You might be surprised how quickly something in you answers. And finally, decide out loud, in one sentence each, what you keep and what you set down. I keep the carefulness. I set down the fear that came with it. If it helps, write both lines somewhere so that choosing exists outside your head. You are not rewriting your whole history tonight, and you're not blaming anyone. You are simply going through what you were handed on purpose for the first time and deciding what you actually want to carry into the light that's still growing. So, let this be the letter you keep from tonight. Some of the stories running your life were never yours to begin with. They were handed to you, early, quietly, by people who were mostly passing on what they'd been handed to, and you've carried them so long they stopped sounding like stories and started sounding like facts about who you are. But a belief you absorbed is not the same as a truth you tested. You are allowed to look at what you're carrying. You are allowed to keep the good parts on purpose, and to set the rest down without anger and without permission. The moon builds her light fresh every cycle and never once drags forward last month's shape. Tomorrow the light asks you to commit. Tonight, just make sure the story you're committing to is actually yours. Thank you for looking honestly at what you've been carrying tonight. A new letter from the sky arrives every single day, and tomorrow the moon reaches her first quarter, the commitment point, so we'll talk about what it really means to choose. Until then, keep what's yours, set down what isn't, and walk gently.